Well, about 4 days ago, Doom the Dark Ages came out, and I just finished it last night. Beat it. It's still fresh on my mind. I've got all my notes written out on my monitor here, and I'm gonna just straight off the bat. It's a really good game. I really like it. I think an extremely strong game, and I'm just going to jump straight into it. Fair warning, this is not spoiler free. I will be talking about certain things that I feel will be necessary, which will include some major story spoilers and whatnot. So if you care about that, probably best to just not watch. But with that said, let's get into it. Just straight away. The gameplay is so much different than the other two. With Doom 2016, you had run and gun. With Doom Eternal, you had rip and tear, and with Doom Dark Ages, you have stand and fight. Now, in Doom 2016, it was like they were brand new with this formula, with this style that they were going for. And they went more of the safer route with the standard first-person shooter approach, and then with Doom Eternal, they basically made you a chimpanzee, gave you 9 guns, and told you to have fun. In this one, you have a shield that can parry and is also a buzzsaw and is basically Captain America's shield, and they gave you a gun that crushes skulls and makes their bone fragments into bullets, and then gave you a crossbow that is also the BFG, but it's the BLC because it's the big fucking crossbow, but it's not the big fucking crossbow, it's just a crossbow. And they said, you do you, King. And now we have Doom the Dark Ages. And I gotta say, it's a really cool formula. I do appreciate that they are going for something new with every installation of Doom. Out of all 3 of the Doom games, my least favorite, and this isn't to say that there's a bad Doom game. There's no bad Doom game. They're all really good. Doom 4 2016 is my least favorite, just because it doesn't feel like it holds up that well by modern standards. It's still a great game. It just doesn't feel as good as the other 2 by a long shot. And then just because Doom Eternal is like peak, like Doom Eternal is the game. It is the game of all time. It is the first person shooter. It is the high testosterone, fast paced action game ever. So I gotta put Doom the Dark Ages just below Doom Eternal, but that's just because it's Doom Eternal. It's there's nothing better than Doom Eternal. It feels so much different in the sense of everything that it is in comparison to Doom Eternal, and I will be using Doom Eternal as a massive comparison to Dark Ages because, I mean, what? Goddamn. One, Doom Eternal is the most recent, prior to this, the most recent Doom series game, and 2, Doom Eternal is the pinnacle of first person shooters. So, and also to be in the same franchise by the same director by the same company, it just feels appropriate for certain aspects. So let's just jump straight into it. So, right off the bat, the gameplay. With Doom Eternal, you were basically swinging yourself everywhere. You were launching yourself into the skies, hot swapping between guns. Just an emphasis on like this immeasurable acrobatic skill. And in the Dark Ages, you have a shield which can parry most attacks. And you have, I believe, 7 guns in this one. You are always meant to engage face to face with the enemy. You never want to be slow with your combat. By the way, anyone who says that Doom the Dark Ages is slow is a goddamn liar. This game is not slow. This is, and by the way, you can adjust your game speed too. Like the base speed is 100%. That's the base. You can crank it up to 150 and start zooming everywhere. It is insane. It is not a slow game, especially on harder difficulties. I beat the game on Nightmare. It is not a slow game. Anyone who says it's slow is lying. I refuse. I refuse to hear. I refuse to hear that out because it does not feel slow. And that's especially the case with how you're supposed to play. You are supposed to be up close and personal with every demon you fight. I'm pretty confident that every single enemy has a long range attack that they will spam at you until you get up close to them. And what this does is it creates an emphasis of you want to fight. You want to get up to them. You want to bash their face in. And the second you get up to them, not only are you at an advantage, they are going to start using their parryable attacks, which is going to open up you to start doing what you do best. And basically, just parrying their attacks, taking advantage of their weaknesses, and playing to that. And that's another thing, is that you have to adapt and build on your conditions. You are constantly put into arenas that have a lot of different environmental hazards and whatnot. There's certain arenas that are like broken off cliffs with red barrels everywhere that will explode upon impact. There's water surrounding you. There's climbable walls that lead up to higher places that lead to more armor, more ammo, more health, and allow you to get a drop on enemies. There's always adaptability with your environment, and you can always use it to your advantage. Similar to your parrying skills. With your parrying, when you're fighting demons, if you can master your parry, you feel like a god because it's so well made. The parrying system feels so powerful. When like that feeling when you parry like 7 different attacks from 7 different enemies in a row and hit them with like your big boy mace attack. I don't even remember what the melee weapon's called, and it damages all of them, and you see all of them in that purple highlight, which indicates that they are now killable, or melee killable. It's the coolest feeling ever. But you have to build your skill on that, and it does require skill. However, that's also not to say that this is the most difficult game. It is not a difficult game. I made it difficult for myself. Like anything below Nightmare is not that bad. The difficulties go from I'm Too Young to Die, Hurt Me Plenty, Ultra Violence, Nightmare, Pandemonium, and Ultra Nightmare. I might have missed one. I don't think I did though. Pandemonium is just like set amount of lives, but still Nightmare difficulty. And then, of course, Ultra Nightmare is just you die once, the campaign's over. It's also Nightmare difficulty. So I play it on Nightmare because I knew I was going to die a lot probably. And I gotta say, it feels so forgiving. It is the easiest Nightmare mode out of any of the Doom games. It does not feel difficult. It is extraordinarily forgiving, without a doubt. The parry window on its base, like on its middle set, you can parry projectiles from like 20 feet away. It feels so easy. Like I minimized that shit and it still felt really easy. it's not a hard game. I'll put it that way. You can make it hard for yourself, which is what I did, but it's it feels very casual, and that's because it is casual. It is a casual game. Um and it's fully adjustable for what you want it to be as well, which is what I'm really happy about. Everything is adjustable. You can adjust the base game speed. You can adjust you can adjust weapon damage. You can adjust how much damage you take. You can adjust projectile speed. Everything gameplay and combat wise that you can think of, you can probably alter in some way to be to your maximum enjoyment. And it's really cool. And I really like that because it really ensures optimal enjoyment for everybody. Because and that's that I feel like that's kind of what Doom's all about. Like Doom's one of those games that I feel like anyone could pick up and play and be like, "Wow, I feel like a badass." And I think that's really cool, and I'm glad that they made that a thing. Um, that being said, it still feels intense sometimes, and I like that. It doesn't lose its edge. With the levels, there are 22 chapters, and some are really, really, really good, and I really like them, and some are really, really, really bad, and I don't like them. Notably, as you probably as you do know, there's a dragon. It's Doomslayer's dragon. You get to use the dragon for dragon levels, which are basically you just ride around on the dragon across levels. You like chase down some ships sometimes to get gold. By the way, you use gold to get like upgrades, and you go over to like big boy ships and you destroy the turrets, and then the big boy ship crashes, and then you land with your dragon on the big boy ship, and you go inside the big boy ship and you destroy the core. And I'm real. I don't like the dragon levels. They feel really slow. They feel like a drag. They're not so bad that like by the end of them I was like, please just let this be over. But they're noticeably slow to the point where they aren't very enjoyable after a while. And it feels like a slog to get through them. Um, and that's just how it feels. Um, Fighting on the dragon is very like bare bones and dry combat. It's not very engaging, and it didn't really capture my attention that long because it's literally just spamming left click, like dodging an attack, spamming left click more, and then you win. That's literally it. Um, there are open levels as well. More like they very clearly tried to go like experiment with more formulas for how they might want to approach Doom games in the future, and they did that clearly with open levels. They're very, very open and expansive levels throughout the game that feel very empty and just kind of like just a big space of nothing. I'm gonna be real. They don't feel very lived in or like much is happening. You can look into the environment and see like really cool visuals and stuff, and that's fine. That's cool. But like when you're just walking around and there's just an empty like gigantic battlefield with nothing happening, it just feels almost like a waste of area that could be filled in with something really cool. Um, and that's where the linear levels come in, because I think the linear levels are the best. Um, they keep you on track. They make sure you know where you're going at all times. They're really enjoyable, and overall just the best of the levels. That's really where it's at, is the linear levels. That's always where Doom's been at, is the linear levels. They've always been at their peak with like the straightforwardness. And on top of that, like with levels in particular, we get to go to like entirely new places in this. Like we get a whole Lovecraftian realm called the Cosmic World. Um, and I was super hyped for that because I've always been a massive Lovecraft mythos fan. I'm a very, very big cosmic horror enthusiast, so to actually see that in a game like Doom was super cool, and they executed it amazingly. It's so cool. It's incredibly metal. Um, and I thought they did an amazing job with the cosmic world levels because, like, you'll be exploring areas, and then you'll get turned around because you'll be like, wait a minute, I thought I just went this way. You'll turn around, you're in a completely new area. It messes with your mind, man. It's so cool. They very clearly knew what they were doing with like the source material, and I'm very happy with that. Um, and that's about it for like the gameplay itself that I wanted to talk about. We'll get to weapons in a minute. But the next thing that I want to approach, and let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way. The soundtrack. We all knew it wasn't going to be as good as Doom 4 or Eternal. We knew that. We knew it wasn't going to be. The second Mick left, we knew that it was going to go downhill in the music department. There was no questioning that. However, Finishing Move did a really good job. Now, before we get into it, I saw this video. Is this girl playing? Is this girl on the opening menu of Doom Dark Ages? I can't remember her name, but she was listening to like the opening or the main menu theme, which I believe is When the Shadows First Lengthened. And it's a good song. It's really intense, and it brings up this like really brooding melody to go into this hard drop. And she was listening to it, and she said it's good, but it's not punching me in the face. And I thought about that. I was like, yeah, Doom music really is supposed to feel like someone's punching you in the face with a metal guitar. Like, when I'm listening to Doom music, I want to feel like my bones are going to explode out of my body and start violently beating me. Like, it's you want to feel otherworldly when you're listening to Doom music, and that's really what Mick Gordon created, was this new sense of, he created an entire genre, like an entire subgenre of metal. There's nothing like Doom music that because of what Mick Gordon made. It is a completely original, fresh style of music that I didn't even know was a possible thing to do. Mick Gordon's a genius. And so the second that he left after being mistreated, no one was going to be able to fill those shoes. Finishing Move came in, and they sure as hell tried. They made an incredible soundtrack, and it sounds amazing. It's a great soundtrack with I think a little over 35 individual soundtracks that all sound really, really well put together, and they're really good. But here's the thing. Finishing Move made an incredible soundtrack. Mick Gordon made art. Mick Gordon set an unbelievable standard that no one will ever be able to succeed. It is an impossible task to outdo what Mick Gordon did. And Finishing Move didn't try to outdo Mick Gordon because I think they knew they couldn't. And to give a comparison, I know. Comparing the two is unfair, but I feel like it's necessary to emphasize the difference in Doom, because Doom as we know in the modern day is made by its music. Doom 4 would not have been as big as it was if Mick Gordon did not make the masterpiece of the soundtrack that he did. if Doom 4 was just came out with just like a standard like rock and roll or metal soundtrack, it would be significantly less popular. And that's a fact. So we need to analyze the music to understand the core theme and idea of the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare two songs. What I think are the two best songs by one by Finishing Move, the other by Mick Gordon. So this one is Finishing Move's Unholy Siege. It's good, right? It's really strong. It's powerful. Um, it's very heavy, very intense. But it feels like there's something missing. Like there. It's like right on the edge of like spilling over into being something like just like something that's gonna punch me in the face when I'm playing, and when I'm playing the game, and that's actively going in the background. And then I feel like something more is going to happen, and then it doesn't. And it still sounds really good. It just doesn't sound like what it could be. And then we have what I think is the best Mick Gordon soundtrack, which is BFG Division. Now, of course, there's no way you could ever top that. I mean, it's literal art. I don't think anyone could reasonably outdo that. Um, but it's something that we have to look at because Doom is built off its music. So, Finishing Move did an incredible job for what it's worth, and no one will ever be able to live up to the shadow that Mick Gordon has left behind, but they can sure try, and Finishing Move did try. And that's what I'm grateful for. They made something really good, and it does sound original. It does. I'm very glad that they did not try and copy Mick Gordon. They tried to do something that sounds right for the game, and I'm glad about that. And the last thing about music that I want to talk about is there's a noticeable lack of music in places that it would hit so hard. Now, big spoiler here. So there's Cthulhu in the game. He's called the Old One. He's this Lovecraftian god. There's this moment. I guess there's actually two Cthulhus. You ride one Cthulhu into a portal, and then you get eaten by another Cthulhu after that. One of the big bads, like offers you to the Cthulhu god, and then the Cthulhu god grabs you and lifts you up. And in the palm of his hand is the Slayer, and the Slayer's like an ant in comparison to its size. Like the Slayer barely makes up like an atom on my palm if I was this Cthulhu monster. And it brings it up over its mouth, and you are the Slayer looking down at this ancient godly being that is about to swallow you. And it does swallow you. And as you're witnessing this, the background music is just like low bass. It's just like like that's all it is. Like you're witnessing this insane cosmic scale event unfold, and the music's just like super chill. It threw me out. It threw me out of it a little bit. That's just a me thing because I think music really makes up the difference between the tone of things. I feel like they could have really taken the opportunity to put like really heavy hitting music in certain areas that just kind of lacked. That's just me though. That's just me. That was just an observation I made. And then weapons are really cool and unique. Every weapon feels appropriate for the setting because we're obviously going for a more medieval, Middle Ages approach with this. With the Doomslayer's attire, with his weaponry, with his, he's got a shield for crying out loud. Like we're very obviously going for a more medieval theme. Everything feels appropriate, including the weapons that are more inspired by Lovecraftian architecture. Everything feels appropriate for its theme and feels powerful in its own unique sense. The chain shot is this cosmically architectured gun that like technically shouldn't work geometrically, but it does, and it fires this like ball and chain out of it. And then the pulverizer grinds up dead skulls and shoots the fragments of bone out at enemies. And then the super shotgun's the super shotgun. Like, oh yeah, the BFC, the big fucking crossbow, but it's not the big fucking crossbow. It's something else. It's just the BFG, but instead of a gun, it's a crossbow, and it's so cool. It's awesome. Overall, everything is really well put together in terms of the weaponry. Everything in the weaponry department feels right, and I'm really happy about that. And our last thing I want to talk about, the story. Story is really good. I'm gonna kind of speed run through this one. Story, they added a lot more cinematics. Most missions open up and end with cinematics. which is a stark contrast from Doom 4, and Eternal, which had very few cinematics, and Doom 4 had like no cinematics at all. Like it had a few, but not that many. Um, this feels much more like conventional cinematics in a modern game. We're getting like story beats, and we're getting like villain monologues, and we're getting people's reactions to the Slayer, and it feels really cool, and it made me invested and interested in what's actually happening. And the other thing that I think is really cool about how what they did with the cinematics is that the cinematics make the other two games better, because this is in chronological order. This is the first of the three games. So it goes from Doom the Dark Ages, Doom 4, Doom Eternal. So this is by chronological order the first game. So you take this as the first game and you lay out a timeline, and then you go back and play the other two games, and the cinematics from Doom the Dark Ages make everything feel more rich and vibrant, and I think that's really cool because I really liked the formula of how Doom the Dark Ages, or sorry, Doom Eternal and Doom 4 were more ambiguous and mysterious with their plots and didn't directly say things. And then we got a lot more context and direct plot through this one. And in a lot of cases, I would say that's bad, because I think obscurity can be powerful, but in this case, I think it's really good, and it still leaves things open to interpretation. It doesn't answer everything. It's not like yes, the Doomslayer was born on this day and was put into the Divinity Chamber this day. It builds up itself and keeps itself mysterious and ominous while answering the more plot relevant story beats at the same time, and it's really good. So, final thoughts. Should you play this game? Yes. It's extremely accessible for anyone to play. It's extremely fun. Good story, good soundtrack. The only thing that I would say that might deter you from this game is the soundtrack, because it's not Mick Gordon. And I understand if people don't want to play this game because of what happened to Mick. We none of us, no sane person is okay with what happened to Mick. We love Mick. But regardless of what happened, we do have to acknowledge that we are gonna have to move past Mick with these future games coming up, which sucks, but that's how it is. And for what we have from Finishing Move, it sounds incredible for what it is. And not just that, with your weaponry, with your gameplay, with your accessibility, and with the story provided, it is overall a really well packaged, really neat, and refined experience that I would highly recommend to most people. And that's that's really about it. So get out of here. But